I had suspected for a number of years that I was different from the brother and sister I grew up with, and always felt like I had a missing identity. I was always told that no, my doubts were not valid. And to go through this process to really find out and just filled a big void in my life. And I really did not believe it would lead to finding my birth father and actually meeting him.
I had no idea who my husband's father could be. I didn't have a name to go by, so I thought DNA was my only hope. And I really thought DNA was just going to give him his heritage too, just to give him at least to know where his people were from.
I was working in the local history room one day when Shannon came in. She was in the library for something else, but thought she'd stop by and mentioned that she had an interest in finding out more about DNA testing as it related to genealogy. That's a question we're getting a lot more recently.
She was a great tool to kind of pick her brain and try to figure out which program would be the best to use for my purposes. For Father's Day, I gave my husband a DNA test, and he took it, and we received the results on July 16th.
They'd maybe found a candidate that they were looking for that seemed like might be a match for who they were looking for. But they needed to figure out how to explore that and verify and find out more about that person. And so they stopped in one day.
We went over and looked at city directories so he understood the tool that we were going to have when we called Albuquerque on Monday, because that's where he was born and we believed his father to have lived. And so she showed him that and explained that to him. And then on Monday morning, I called the library as soon as they opened. They're 2 hours behind us, and I called them as soon as they opened, and I explained our story and our situation and said we've been looking for an obit or just a picture, just something, so we'll know who this man is. Through some research I was doing at home, we realized we had the wrong middle initial. We did property record searches. We found one in '93, and we're like, wait a minute, could he be alive? And I was like, let's not get our hopes up. And then we found one in 2003, and we're like, what is this? And then I Googled all 3 names that were on the property record from 2003. And when I did, a phone number came up. I called that phone number, and a man answered, and he said, North Carolina, who do I know from North Carolina? I said, is this William Gardner? And he said, yes. I said, are you 83 years old? He said, possibly. I said, did you work at First National Bank of Albuquerque in 1956? And he said, yes.
And we both put 2 and 2 together, and I was flabbergasted. And she was, I guess, tickled that she had found all the right pieces to put us together.
She handed the phone to me, and all I could think to myself, is this really happening? Is this really my father?
We hit it off pretty good right off the bat. I enjoy chatting with him.
At this stage in my life, you call him Dad, you call him Mr. Gardner, whatever. That relationship doesn't exist as yet. So I referred to him as Mr. Gardner, and he had stated he never knew about me.
We were able to save up, and we were blessed with some frequent flyer miles from my father, and were able to hop on a plane and go for a week.
Since our trip to meet my father, I asked him, what would you prefer to be called? He says, and right off he said, Dad or Bill. I said, Dad works. We talk to him every week, either by phone or by Skype, and it's just such a peaceful feeling. I've had several people that are familiar with me have commented several times that, Bill, you're different. Excuse me a minute. And it just feels like I've finally been invited to the party.